Oh, when the blues go marching in. Oh, when the blues go marching in. Oh, I want to be in that number when the blues go marching.
Aloha, blues fans, and welcome to the special edition part 2 of the Hawaii Blues Fan Show. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues Fan, and I've got a lot for you today. This is the program that is by a fan, for the fans, and most definitely about you, the fans. Wow, I'm excited. I'm happy. Got a special treat for you coming down the road. I think you're going to enjoy it. You've asked for it, and I've got it. Ooh, yeah. So, before we get there, let's talk about Winnington and Dallas, right? We are no longer 0 for the weekend. Jordan Bennington comes up big, and Tara Shink shows up. 2 lasers. And from Dallas, we go east. Wagons east, my friends. And we face the Stanley Cup champion, Washington Capitals. Woo! We get a second try at them. We beat them the first time. Who's going to be in goal? Winnington or Shaky Jake? And I can't believe I just said that because I've been a Jake apologist for a long time. And from there, we'll move into About the Fan. I got a special treat for you in About the Fan. I'm not going to tell you what it is till we get there. And I'm also have a sad part. We lost a member of the clan while I was home, and I've been asked to do a memorial for her, and I most definitely will. Got a pet that doesn't like the snow and a tap to go. Ooh, this is going to be a good show. But before we get started, I want to say congratulations to the St. Louis Blues Lounge. They hit their 20,000th member. Yesterday, Johnny did the giveaways, and I want to say congratulations to all the winners. Enjoy your stuff and enjoy the lounge. It's a fun place to be. Hoo-hee! I'll see you when we talk about some hockey. Well, Blues fans, do we have something to get excited about? Quite possibly. After the game in Montreal, the Blues slipped west and a little south and went to the Lone Star State and met the Dallas Stars. Last time we played them, they beat us pretty good. That's what we were thinking was going to happen again. Well, the Blues decided to put Bennington in net. He'd had a great game against Montreal. He'd only allowed 1 goal in 2 games. And the kid's ready. I mean, I didn't want to believe it, and I'm still cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic. You know, he's 25 years old. He's a rookie. But he snuck into Dallas and said, my time. Game starts. 30 seconds in. The Tara Shink Show shows up with a laser beam wrist shot after a beautiful pass from Jaden Schwartz. And lo and behold, Blues fans are saying, where's that been all season? We're up 1-0. A little while later, Sonny D flying down the wing. Perfect pass to the big rig. Boom, 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 boom. And Pat Maroon, backhander, pops it right over Big Ben's shoulder. Treats the St. Louis native like he's, I don't want to say what it was treated like, but it was bad. Bad. You know, and for the first game in a long time, the bouncers are going our way. Rest of the season, that little chip by Maroon would have gone over the net or 6 foot wide. This one goes in. Woohoo! We're happy we have that, but we're cautious. We've got that dreaded 2-goal lead. Are they going to play forward? Are they going to play on their heels? Well, they started to play on their heels a little bit. They didn't take the game. They let the game come to them. And In the second period, Bennington lets one in. You're worried. You're not sure what's going to happen, but okay, they let one in. Third period starts, and this was when I saw this on the replay, my eyes popped out of my head. Where has that damn shot been all year, Tarashenko? He just rifled one. Toe drag, picked a spot, found that little hole, ka-chunk, goal. Second goal of the game, earns first star. Yeah, baby. Are the Blues back? I don't know. I'd like to think so, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say, and the pudding is in D.C. Our Blues move way east to face the Washington Capitals, and I'm trying to say it right, but it's just the St. Louis is coming out of me. It's Washington. You got to put that R in there. I'm sorry, baby. Woohoo! I love my R. I love my WR. The last time we played the Caps, beat them kind of handedly. It's a good game. I was there. I was very impressed. But then we lost to the, who was it we lost to? The Islanders the next game. Well, let me catch my breath here for a second. Okay. Playing the Caps. In D.C., Ovechkin. The man gets in his office, he scores goals. You cannot take penalties against them, and you can't leave him alone. On the power play, someone has to be on him. Leave everybody else. I don't care. You can leave some. If someone else scores on you, that's fine. Do not let Ovechkin score. That's my goal. Bennington's going to prove to us tonight whether he's a flash in the pan, a fluke, or he's the real deal. These guys know how to play hockey. And TJ Oshie, he gets up for the Blues. He gets up. You know what's going to happen? I'm at a quandary. I'm not 100% sure. But, you know, I got to stick with what I've been doing. You know, I got to pick a loss. Ooh. Did the baby come back? Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. I picked the Blues to lose again. 4-3. Yep, that's what I did. That's what he did. Okay. Now, you want to know why I'm smiling so big? Because I have a special treat. I have been asked by many people to bring on and share my show with the notorious, his words not mine, Hockey Bob. And that's what I was able to do. So I'm going to give you the unedited, uncut interview with Hockey Bob. Enjoy. Well, aloha everyone. I have a treat. I've been asked to contact Robert Foley, also known as Hockey Bob, and do an interview with him. Robert has graciously agreed. Robert, welcome to the Hawaii Blues Fan Show.
Well, thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Well, so Bob, I'm in the groups, but I'm not 100% in them all the time, so I don't know everybody really well, and I know you're kind of famous / infamous, and I'm not going to get into any of that. But
notorious.
Yeah, notorious. That's probably a better word. So could you tell me a little bit about yourself and, you know, we're born in St. Louis, how long you've been a Blues fan? Just a little quick bio for me.
Well, I became a hockey fan because my dad was born in Montreal. I grew up in a town called Ventura, California, but my dad didn't take me to hockey games until I was about 8 years old. He wanted to make sure that I was going to sit there and pay attention and not be a problem kid. But I've liked hockey since I was 8 years old. Moved to St. Louis in 75. Probably went to my first Blues game in 77. I like the Blues, but as I tell everybody, I'm a hockey fan first and a Blues fan second. I'll watch any hockey, anytime, anywhere. I don't care. I love the sport of hockey.
You know what, Bob? I'll absolutely agree with you there. I love the sport of hockey, too. I became a Blues fan right about that time too. When I was 5, 6 years old, maybe a little bit young, a little bit older. My grandfather, betting man, loved to bet on hockey because it was easy, and took me to games here and there, and or had them on the TV. So that's how I kind of became a fan.
Cool.
So we've talked. You and me have talked a little bit in the past when we had some technical difficulties that we've now fixed. So I'm going to go and ask you the one question that I asked you before that I didn't get to completely answer. I had put a post out in the groups where I had said, if you could be the GM of the Blues for one day and make one change, and that couldn't be changed back, what would that change be? You had a very interesting answer. Could you tell us what that answer was?
Yeah, my answer was I wouldn't change a darn thing. I would let the players wallow in their own ineptness until they figure it out. You know, my buddy Andy Strickland, he has talked to a lot of GMs in the NHL, and he tells me all the time that the number one question that GMs ask around the league is, what the hell is wrong with the Blues? Nobody can figure it out, which means that it's not a GM problem, it's not a coaching problem, it's a players in their own heads problem. And they need to get out of their own heads before they can play decent hockey on a consistent level like they played last night, like they played against Winnipeg and some of the good games that they played. They need to get out of their own heads. Coaches can't do that. Coaches don't mess with heads. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
Well, I agree with you a little bit, but I have some disagreement there. I do believe that it's a player problem, but I also think that this is a locker room issue. However, I do think that Coach Berube, who I have called Booberry, and I'm going to continue to call Booberry until he's gone, is part of the problem. I've noticed, especially all these times since he's taken over, it's even worse. When we have a 2-0 lead, they fall back on their heels, and that's a coaching decision. I think that when Coach Berube played back in the late 80s, early 90s, I'm pretty sure that's the period that he played in, he might have been a little bit later than that, but not much. In the NHL, when you got that 2-0 lead, or that 2-goal lead, that was insurmountable. You could play back because players didn't have the speed and the awareness, and the game wasn't open, and you had the 2-line pass. So that slowed the game up. Well, it seems like he's still playing that in my eyes.
Well, I don't know, because I see a lot of NHL teams blow 2-goal leads, not just the Blues, coupled with the fact that Chris Kerber is on one of the sports stations I listen to every day, and he said this several times. He said that there is not a disconnect with the players and the coach. He says that the players are the problem. He says the players are the ones that need to figure it out. The coach never tells them to back up. He says he's heard the coach say exactly the opposite. Keep going, keep playing. But the coaches or the players yet decide that they feel comfortable with a 2-goal lead and they slack off. I'm more inclined to believe that than anything else, because it happens all the time in sports. You look at football. You look at games in which teams have big leads, and all of a sudden the leads are gone. Why? Because they go into that prevent defense. It's a mental mindset with players that they get comfortable when they're ahead. And I just don't think coaching has anything to do with it. I think it's all in the players' heads.
Well,
that's just me.
No, Bob, I want your opinion. I'm asking for it. Don't apologize for it. I'm bad enough at apologizing. You don't need to be. This is why we're here, to talk about hockey. So, with that said, I want to mention a few players, because I do believe there's a locker room divide, and I just want your opinion on these players. And this is going to be random. I'm going to just throw it out there, and we'll go from there. I'm going to start with Tarasenko.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me, because 40 goal scorers don't grow on trees. Not every team has a guy that can put 40 goals in the net. So I don't know what his problem is. I think maybe he's still suffering from the shoulder injury. But if I were a GM, I would never give up on a guy like that until he shows me that he just can't do what he's supposed to do. And I mean, I see Tarasenko every day moving his legs. I see him going after pucks. But like I said, he's just he's having issues right now.
You know, I agree with you with the shoulder injury. Alexander Steen.
He's a quandary. You know, I've had different people tell me all kinds of different things about Steen. I mean, I think he's the best other than Ryan O'Reilly, I think he's the best two-way player the Blues have. I mean, he backchecks as good as anybody. He's also pretty potent on the power play when he's healthy. So, I think he's a quandary, but I do think he's getting up there in years, and, I think he's toward the end of his playing career as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Jake Allen.
Oh, man. People are going to hate me for this. Last night, Carey Price was in goal for the Canadiens. He makes $10.5 million a year. He has never, ever in his career carried the Montreal Canadiens through a playoff series. Not that they've had many. Jake Allen has done it twice. And most fans believe the playoffs are more important than the regular season. So by that logic, you could say that Allen is better than Price. I wouldn't say that, but by that logic, it makes sense. I think Jake just has issues. I think that he's good and he's bad. I think he's better when he's got somebody who he knows can take his job at any given time, like Jordan Binnington right now is doing pretty good. He's got two wins. But I also heard Andy Strickland say this morning that Jake Allen's going to be back in goal against Dallas on Saturday. So, I mean, I'm not the coach. I can't tell the coach or the players what to do. But, I think that, and I know no GM's going to pick him up. I know no GM in their right mind is going to sign Jake Allen. So he's going to be a Blue until Armstrong and the team decides not to be a Blue.
Yeah. Oh, well, I kind of with you on that. I had a thought on Allen with that, and the guy's name escapes me. I may have to look it up later. But he had talked about, he did the kid interview that they do with the Blues, and he had talked about, he was asked who his idol was, his hockey idol, and he had mentioned...
Cupco.
Huh?
He said, didn't he say Curtis Joseph?
No.
Oh.
Martin Brodeur.
Oh, okay.
And he had gotten to play with him. Well, with Martin Brodeur being the GM or president of hockey operations in New Jersey has a center, and he's injured right now. He's a, God, his name escapes me. I just had it. Let me, I'll have to look it up later. I'll talk about it. But a center that's injured, that's having, the cap numbers are really close.
Right.
Jake Allen has like 2 more years than this guy does. If I can remember the name, you know what? I'll cut this part out. I'll talk about that later.
Well, it's interesting to me that when Martin Brodeur was here with the Blues, that they didn't use him so much as a goalie coach. I can't figure out why they would not use one of the best goalies that ever played the game, not as a goalie coach. I know that wasn't his job. He wanted to be a GM, and that's fine. But still, I mean, if you're part of a team, shouldn't you want your players that are playing for you to be the best? I don't understand the whole goalie coach situation with the Blues.
Yeah,
I just really don't.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, when he did take over as the goalie coach, that's when Allen flipped the switch.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when he went away from it, that's when Allen flipped the switch down again.
It's almost like Jake needs a babysitter all the time, and if that's the case, then he's really not that good for anybody. You can't have a grown man needing a babysitter every single game.
I'll agree with you there. So going back to that, Binnington.
I think Binnington's played a couple good games. He's 25 years old. Goalies generally develop later in their career as opposed to centers and wingers. But based on the 2 games I've seen, I think he's a good goalie, and I hope that they continue to use him and maybe go back and forth, 1 game Jake, 1 game Jordan, and see what happens. And, I mean, who knows? Let's put it this way, Guy. There are not a lot of number 1 goaltenders in the league. There's 31 teams. I'd say there's probably 6 to 8 goalies that I would pick if I needed to win a Stanley Cup. So all the other teams are still having goaltending problems. I mean, let's face it. Hellock's played with 4 teams since he left the Blues. Elliott's played with 3. Chad Johnson's still with Buffalo. They got somebody's got Copley, but he hasn't. Oh, Copley's with what was it? Nashville?
Yeah,
who's he with?
So. Might
and
be.
Nashville lost 6 in a row. So I mean, no, he's with Anaheim. Copley's with Anaheim, and Anaheim's got a 9-game.
I think Anaheim got the other kid that we had, the one at the beginning of the season, Johnson.
Oh, Chad Johnson.
Yeah,
oh,
Johnson
right.
went to Anaheim. He got picked up by Anaheim. In fact, it was kind of funny. He didn't have a helmet. So he's in his Anaheim uniform with his Blues helmet on.
Yeah, that's cool though. You know, that's props for the Blues.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, you know, like I said, goaltending is such a quandary. Anybody who thinks they actually know a ton about NHL goaltenders, I call it fake news, because nobody really knows a whole lot about goaltenders unless they've played the game in the league.
Oh, I'll go with you there. So another player I want to bring up, Pietrangelo, the captain.
Well, he's still a number one. He's still a top 4 defenseman. He's a defenseman that every GM in the NHL would love to have if they could put him on his roster somewhere. You know, I think the biggest problem with him right now, he had triplets at the beginning of the year. And if you remember when Tarasenko had his first baby, he had problems. When Allen had his baby, he had issues. So, I mean, and it happens all the time with athletes when they have their first kids. It's a distraction, and it just happens, you know. But for any fan to think that you need to trade Pietrangelo means that you really don't know too much about hockey or about defense in general. I mean, because Pietrangelo, when he's on his game, he's not Pronger because he's not tough, but he can control a game. He makes those outlet passes. He's smart most of the time, and I wouldn't want to lose him if I were a Blues manager.
Okay, that's a fair point. The guys are on Let's Go Blues Radio. We're talking about the kid issue yesterday, and their basic attitude was, so what? You know, you're a millionaire. Hire a nanny. It shouldn't affect you. But I know when I had my kids, I was on shore duty, and it still affected me. My oldest didn't sleep for 6 months. She had colic, and I know it affected me pretty hard. So I agree with you on that a little bit.
Well, people think that just because you have a lot of money that you shouldn't have any problems, but it doesn't matter. They're still human beings. It doesn't matter if you make $10 million a year, if you make $255 an hour. You're still a human being. You're still suspect to the same issues and the same problems. And believe it or not, money does not buy everything. People think it does, but it doesn't.
I agree with you there. So one last question for you. Blues neutral zone play.
I think it lacks. I think it needs to get better. But then again, they like we talked earlier, they give up 2-goal leads. And that's a team thing. You know, they just need to play better as a team. I mean, whether it's in the neutral zone, whether it's in the defensive zone, whether it's David Perron taking bad penalties in the offensive zone, they just need to play smarter hockey. And it doesn't matter what part of the ice they're at. They just need to play smarter hockey. That's all there is to it.
Well, I will agree with you on that. I have one last question for you. You noticed I have my Blues flag here hung upside down. Do you know why I do that?
I have no clue, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Okay, well, in the military, if you hang the flag upside down, it means you're in distress and send help.
Oh, so okay. Are you in distress?
I believe the Blues are in distress and they need help. So
yeah.
They had won 2 in a row a while back, and I did a live flag flip where I turned my flag back around. The next game, they got pummeled. So
that's cool.
I'm not turning it around again until I think they're not in distress anymore. So that's what that is. I thought I'd bring that up.
See what happens. Have to take it game by game these days, you know, until they get on a winning streak. And, you know, if they can win 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, then you might be able to keep that flag right side up for the rest of the season.
It would be nice to see that. Well, Bob, I want to thank you. This is going to be the first of many of these. I want to try and get with you at least once a week and talk about the games that were going on and what was happening. Wow, that was a lot of fun doing that interview with Hockey Bob, and I also had a lot of fun doing the interview with Kat. I hope to bring them on the show more often, and I hope to bring more people on the show. If you'd like to come on and talk to me about hockey, send me an email at hawaiibluesfan@hawaii.r.com. And we can talk and see what we can do. One of the things I did before I was doing my episodes is I put a couple questions in the group and said, hey, do you have any questions for me? And I got a couple of them that were pretty good. One of them asked, was I from St. Louis and what brought me to Hawaii? Yes, I'm originally from St. Louis. I was born there in Maryland Heights. I grew up there. I joined the Navy in 1987, and the Navy eventually brought me here, and I kind of dropped anchor. I'll leave it at that for now. Another question by John Hafner, and if I forget your name, I apologize. I had trouble finding some of the questions. John Hafner asked me, who would be the first note to get a hat trick in 2019. And I guess I'm going to stick with my boy, Tereshchenko. He got close. Let's see if he can finally knock a couple out here and get on that goal streak we know he should be on. And then another question I got, and I really wish I could find out who asked me this, was what I thought about the possibility of a lockout. I'm really concerned about this. I would hope that the league would learn and the players would learn from what happened in 2004. But if you look at it, a lot of the players that are in the league now were not around in 2004, so that may not affect them. It took the league 3 to 4 years, maybe a little longer. It took the Blues longer to rebuild from that and to get their fan base back. I have a feeling that if they're smart, they'll do a bridge and work on it from there. I don't think a lockout would be good for either the players or the NHL. And the other big question is the Olympics. Now, 22 is an Olympic year, and I know the players want to play. So we'll see what the NHL decides to do on that. And with that said, I'm going to move into About the Fan. However, today I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to talk about my tattoo and that first and save my fan of the game for last for a special reason. Well, today, a little different. I'm going to start with tattoo of the game. Now, this tattoo is a perfect blue note on the ankle/shin. It was done at the Inkwell by Brad Hume, and it is on Guinea Wagner Rothwell. Yeah, I had to look. That name was kind of hard for me. I put a post in the lounge, and she responded, sent me a couple of these pictures, and it's sometimes the simplest ones are the best ones. Guinea, I love your note. I think it's done really well. I think this is the second or third tattoo I've had done by Brad from the Inkwell. Great job. Recommended to get him because he knows what he's doing. Guinea, thank you for having my tattoo of the game. Well, that was a great tattoo. And anybody that knows me knows that I love Bulldogs. I grew up with 3 of them, Queenie, Cindy, and Duke. And Duke was a 98% all-white Bulldog. Beautiful dog. I missed them all terribly. And I can't wait to stop and pet one. I put a post in the groups a while back, and I got this beauty. Tiffany. Tiffany is a gorgeous brown and white Bulldog. She loves wearing her Blues gears. She's built like a tank. She's just incredible. Kim Yorkley sent me these pictures, and I had done a post from the St. Louis Bulldog Rescue about a Bulldog getting ready to go out in the snow, and Kim sent me a picture and said, Tiffany ain't having none of this. She said Tiffany went out and the snow was up past her lady parts and she wasn't moving, and Kim had to go out and pull Tiffany out, and Tiffany said, I'm done. I'm not going back out until the snow is gone. That's a Bulldog for you. Got to love a Bulldog's attitude. There is nothing better than a Bulldog in a blue shirt. Kim, thank you so much for allowing Tiffany to be my pet of the game. So many times, fan of the game is a celebration of a fan and their love and loyalty to the Blues. And a couple of times I've done a few memorials. While I was home in St. Louis, one of my newest clan members and someone who was introduced to me by Hall of Fame member number 2, Peggy Sue Baker, Jennifer Oates, had a catastrophic medical condition and unfortunately passed away. I had been working on trying to get Jennifer to be a fan of the game. I talked to Peggy Sue, and we thought it would be best to memorialize her here. Jennifer was introduced to the Blues by Peggy and was an instant fan. She loved wearing her Blues gear. She was a union electrician and a union wardrobe. Worked on shows for Paul McCartney. Great music fan, and a mother, a sister, a daughter. She will definitely be missed. Jenny, I didn't get a chance to meet you, and I'm sorry for that. I just wanted to say that I hope that you're resting in peace. And remember that everyone in the clan is bleeding blue with you, Jenny, and always will be. Well, this was a long, long show, but it was a fun show. I loved doing the interviews. I loved all the pieces and parts that I had to put together. I hope you'll continue to watch. And just remember, I'm bleeding blue with you. Keep bleeding blue with me. Kat, it's been far too long. Sing us away. Aloha.
When the blues go marching in. Oh, when the blues go marching in. Oh, when the blues go marching in. Oh, I want to be in that number when the blues go marching in. Oh, when the blues go marching in. Oh, when the blues go marching in. I want to be in that number when the blues go marching